So the 250's come a long way. We've taken it on a few trips, but there's still one thing we need to sort out, and that's comms. So what's the plan? Completely replace this?
I don't know.
I was saying to Emma, like, there's probably a scope to do like YouTube stuff because there's so much real estate there.
Yeah.
You have an aerial, you have a light mount.
But you reckon go into that bolt hole as well?
Well, that's the bomb, isn't it? Might be a combination of the two.
Give yourself a little mounting platform. And pull the other side off and check if it's symmetrical. Nah, let's just assume that it's spider in there, or the Leo. I might spider these guys.
To get a scan. So when you're looking to mount an antenna, there's a few options, and one is on the bull bar. We're opting not to put a bull bar on this vehicle, and the other reason why you might not want to put an antenna on the bull bar is for your field of view. People sometimes don't like that antenna in your field of vision. Now your other options are usually potentially a bonnet hinge mount or a mirror mount. Now on the 250, unfortunately, the hinge is too far away and there's not enough clearance between the bonnet and the plastic to have a hinge style mount, and there's not an easy way to mount the mirror on the 250. Now, the obvious position is here underneath this cowl. There's a few options on the market, and the challenge with this is the actual secure mounting points are a fair way away from where the antenna sits. Now, we wanted to come up with a solution that's a little bit different. We wanted a no drill, fully reversible bracket, but we also wanted to make sure that we create a really strong and stable bracket to transfer those loads back to those secure mounting points for mounting any antenna or accessories that you might be putting on there. Now, this is what we've come up with, and this is the cowl that you can see on the top, but you can see there's plenty going on underneath for us to create that strong, stable bracket.
That's such a good example of a product that needs to be done already standing.
True. Yeah, that's a pain in the butt to make. So for the Prado 250, we're installing a GME radio. I think I mentioned it in the 150 build. It's just in general over the years, the sound quality and just the build quality of the GME products have just stood out as a premium product, really. The fact that they're Australian made, little handhelds we've got are great. They lasted for like over a day or something when we were driving down to Sydney. Yeah, they were good. So we've got this XRS Connect Outback pack. Comes with the unit and the antenna. We haven't gone the full big radome. I shouldn't do that. So this is one of the ones which have a small console that you mount out of the way, and then all the controls and the speaker are actually on the handset. Now we're going to be installing the unit, which is quite small. That's going to go underneath the console. We've got a little bracket for that. And then the handset, being that it's got the speaker and the display and everything, we're going to have a mount to sort of make it easy access and also to make it easy to see the display and also to hear it. The antenna we've gone for is a 2.1 dB, fairly small one, and sort of a lighter build radome. We don't need the really big one for our vehicle. It's Australian made as well, which is fantastic to see. We got all the cables, antenna, this little cord here, and all the wiring that we need. A little pass-through as well. So the fun thing about this bracket is we've had to think about giving you the option to mount other accessories other than just the one antenna. So we've got this extra bracket here which clamps on or attaches to the original antenna bracket and allows you to mount things like an extra antenna, a selfie antenna, or ditch lights. So we really like the build quality and the experience we had with steady lights on the 150 build. We're going to put some ditch lights on the 250. And we're going to go with steady again, but we're going to use the C4 cube lights because they match the aesthetic of the 250. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to mount them on top of these little swivel brackets. And we're gonna put them on these swivel lights so we can rotate them quite easily without having to undo bolts and so forth. So what do you want to have a look at first? Let's have a look at these lights. So we've got a cover. We got a few lenses, a yellow one. What's this other one? Blue. Blue. The other thing that these do is they lift them off the bracket a little bit, puts them up a little bit higher, so might give a bit better throw for the lights. But I can't turn them at the moment. They've sort of got a bit of resistance, but you can see you bolt that in and then you put the light on top and you can turn it.
I'm 99% sure you have that upside down.
Yes, I do. Bolt it in that way, bolt your light in, and you can turn it. It's right about the same size, isn't it? That. Up here, wasn't it? Ideally, we want to be able to point these lights down, being sort of ditch lights. So I have to install this first then. After reading the instructions.
Wisdom says that you should read the instructions.
Tell Tim that.
Instructions are for reading afterwards. You can find the better way to do it.
Pretty much. You take this off, because you have to hold that in place to be able to tighten this down, or else it's just going to rotate, which makes sense. And then we can attach the lights and the brackets on when it's on the vehicle. Let's go do that. M8, I think I might need to find some bigger washers because the holes for the antennas are usually a little bit bigger, so I'll grab some bigger washers. Try and get this radius to match up. That looks pretty nice. Okay, so that's that base, that one. Okay, so now that this is tightened, we can actually put this top mount back on. It's handy, I can turn it around. If you don't like your passenger, you can always do this. Tighten that up. Wiring from the ditch light comes down into that little notch, and the antenna into that little notch. We'll clip the little trim back in, and that should be done. Other than wiring always takes longer than you think. Where's my little clip trip? I can't talk. Trim clip. And this should hold it up. Hello.
That's not where that plug goes.
Roger, Roger. Is that what you're supposed to say? Or is it 10-4? 10-4?
10-4 rubber ducky.
Now we have to find a place for the console and for our handset. Now the console here can be placed sort of anywhere out of the way. We're going to tuck it in underneath this center console. There's a spot, there's some room underneath there. So we'll show you how to do that. With the handset, I'd like to have it sort of sitting sort of there for two reasons. So I can see what channel I'm on, and also for the fact that the speaker's there makes it easier to hear, and also makes it easier for the passenger to grab it and to communicate if I'm sort of busy driving or I'm eating or doing something like that. Potentially there, we did look at positions down here because there's more mounting spots and potentially easier down here, but I found my knee really sort of got in the way, and it's sort of down low and in the way of the start button. So we're gonna try to do something up here. So first things first though, we'll get this console installed. We've got a little bracket for that. That just mounts in underneath this console. We'll take this all apart and get going. So this console looks complicated, but it's actually quite easy to take apart. Don't even need any tools really. So first thing to do is get these, what do you call these thighs off, these side panels. They look a bit like thighs. Just rip them off. Just clipped in. Next thing is you pull down this skirt. Don't say that. Next thing you want to do is pull down this leather cover thing, and to get the knob off, you pull this clip. There's this clip, this little metal clip. So you should be able to pull that out. Now make sure you don't lose this little clip. So where am I going to put it? No, I've got this little cup holder over here. There you go. And that should just lift off. Now that that's loose, you can actually pull this black bit off. Just grab the corner there and just lift it out. Now to get this off, just undo all these plugs. And that one we just put over to one side. Now you can see there's plenty of space down in here, and we're going to actually put our console up in behind here. We've got a little bracket, there's a prototype bracket, and it actually goes underneath these two bolts, and once it's installed with your console in there, it just sits up underneath there. You can't even see it. What we want to do is attach this to here first, and then we'll put the screws on the side. Goes like this. Antenna can come in the back, and power as well. So there you go, that should sit right there. Okay, that should hold it. We got some little thumb knobs on the side, so if you ever were to need to remove it, you don't need any tools. Okay. We got the console installed on the bracket. We'll just weave this in to the bottom here, and it just goes up underneath, sandwiched underneath there, so we'll need to loosen these ones off. 10 mil. Give yourself a bit of a gap so we can feed our bracket underneath it. Yes, there you go, they're slotted, so you can just feed it up in from the bottom there and tighten them back up. Now you'll need to, well, I'll need to route the antenna cable back from the outside into here, and that plugs into the back. The power, you should be able to tap some power off these USB ports here, off the back there, which will turn on and off with the ignition. And then the handset plugs in the front there, and we'll need to route it up to wherever we're going to position it. Another option is to have a sort of an extension cable to pass through, so that we might mount this somewhere so we can just plug it in and out as we need to. But for now, this unit's in place. Let's have a look at what we've come up with for the hand piece mount. So I'm going to just put everything back so I don't sort of knock anything or pull anything out. There you go. Okay, as you can see, there's not really any mounting surfaces, or not mounting surfaces, mounting points or anything like that, so we'll just have to clip onto some geometry that's up here. So this is just a 3D printed prototype with my Allen key. And what we're thinking is we either 3D print it or maybe we machine it, we're not too sure yet. But the way it works is it just sits over the top there, and we just want to make sure it's fairly secure too, because on those rough roads and corrugations, you don't want your handpiece falling off and causing a bit of a drama. We're going to go a magnetic mount, which I'll probably grab, because that means you can just snap it back and pull it off quite easily. So GME offer a couple of options to mount your handset. The one that comes with the kit, the Outback kit, looks sort of like this one, and it just slides on, so your typical type of mount. We're going to go a magnetic mount, so it's got a different type of disc on the back, and it actually mounts quite easily and easy to pull on and off. That goes on the back, replaces that. It's a little bit sort of spherical, so it allows it to sort of twist around a bit, and there's a really strong magnet in there, and you can see how well that holds. And there's a little lip around that, so it doesn't actually fall out. I actually can't even get that out with my fingers, so it should hold on those rough roads. So this here has 2 bolt holes, so you take that back off and you just mount it directly onto there. Or if you don't have a mount, you can always use double-sided tape and just stick it wherever you like, and then that just goes on there. You can see, very nice. Right there, speaker there, passengers can grab it and do what they want. So we haven't quite decided how we're going to finish this product off, whether it's going to be a a 3D print in a color that sort of matches, or whether we machine it and anodize it or powder coat it. We'll see how we go. Yeah, I can still see. Nice. That is some very nice, sort of satisfying look. So, we're positioned for everything. Now it's just to wire everything up. Save that for another day. We got this New Year's Eve 2024. So initially we bought this vehicle because this was a replacement for the Prado 150. The 150 is at the core of our accessory range, and we knew that this vehicle was going to be a popular vehicle. So when we got it, two reasons. One, to develop product, and two, I saw the opportunity to build up a vehicle that's more comfortable than the FJ that we've been touring in, a bit more space for a growing family. So with that in mind, I wanted to do all the accessories, but I didn't want to build it up into something too crazy. I wanted it to be a good touring vehicle. So owning the 250 over the last 9 months, I know a lot of you out there are wanting to know how it compares to the 150 and so forth. My experience is that it's been a really comfortable, very capable vehicle. I sort of liken it to the evolution of the 120 to the 150, and then now the 150 to the 250. So the 120, when I went to the 150, you got more capability, more bells and whistles, more comfort, but you start losing a little bit of cargo space because they've had to cram more stuff in. And I feel that's the same transition for the 250. A lot of nice electronics, the 360 camera, you got air-conditioned seats as well. But they're cramming so much stuff in there, you sort of lose a little space here and there, and you know that rear, everybody knows about that. They've also approached the design of the vehicle very differently too. One of the things I did notice was the traction control and the off-road capability of this vehicle is exceptional. Even stock standard, it drives really well off-road, and with a few modifications you can augment that and even improve on that. Things such as the traction control and the crawl control that come as standard, really good driver aids. So that's from the electronics and driver aids point of view. Even the radar cruise and all that sort of stuff's really good. Now, the design of the vehicle's changed a lot from the 150. The chassis is a different platform, and from developing product, we've noticed that they've gone to thinner materials in the chassis, apparently a higher strength material, and that's changed the way we've approached some of the products we normally do. So for example, the underbody protection, where we had to look at extra bracing just to make sure we have the strength there. Things like the configuration of the front struts being at the front, that's allowed us to come up with some guards and protection a little bit different to what we normally do for a shock guard, especially on the front there. It's even in the interior. The rear shelf that we do, we've decided to put extra supports because the newer vehicles with their airbags and their bracketry and the mounts that they have in the roof, not as strong as what the older vehicles were, like the 120 and the 150. Some of the other things that we wanted to investigate were things such as whether or not this vehicle even needed a transmission cooler, because I know back in the sort of last run of the 150s, it wasn't as much of an issue with transmission temperatures. So we did a bit of investigation, and for me, with the temperatures that we saw and the driving that we did, I'm happy to have that transmission cooler in there, especially when towing and in any sort of soft sand like we did when we were over at Gari. So what have we developed for the vehicle so far? We've got our rear storage range, the cargo barrier, the shelf, the mollies. We've also developed the rear tailgate console, which is very interesting because the door's different on this car. You can actually access it from the window, or it still operates when the door is up. So quite a cool little concept. We've done underbody protection, front sump transmission, also got the shock guards in the back. We've got some other bits and pieces coming along as well, some extra protection there. We're in the process of finishing off our recovery points for the 250 as well. We worked on some comms, antenna brackets, under bonnet. We've got the air compressor bracket, we've got a fuse bracket so we can hook that all up, as well as our transmission cooler. So the other thing that's made a huge difference to the stance and the look of the vehicle is suspension and tyres. We've gone the 2-inch lift and we've put on some bigger tyres, made a huge difference actually, and I'm looking forward to the extra clearance that it gives me off-road, because that was an issue. Managed to bend up my bash plates pretty badly on our first trip out to Genoan. So thanks for following along and coming behind the scenes on how we bring these products to life and to market, and what's what approaches we have to problems and solutions. Now, we still got a bunch of product in the pipeline and more things that we'd like to do. For example, the recovery points, we've got panhard correctors coming. We're wanting to look at more protection. So it's a work in progress. Let us know if there's anything else you want us to have a closer look at, or if you have any other ideas we want us to explore. Otherwise, keep following, subscribe, hit the bell. I don't know. I finished very quickly. You know what I mean.